everyone, and welcome to our day 4 of our 30-day fit and health challenge. Today I've got another tutorial for you, so we're going to break down the concept of screwing our feet into the ground or spreading the floor. They're two common analogies that are used. What's great about this is that it will help ground us to the floor, activate all the muscles in our kinetic chains in our lower body, and it will help us produce more force out of the exercises. So when we get into our nice position, when we screw our feet into the ground, we're making sure that we're firing all the right muscles, and when we do that, it means that all our joints are going to be in line. So our ankles are going to be stacked, our knees are going to be stacked, and our hips are going to get in the right position so we can engage them properly, which is connected to our core, so that all ties in together. And when we can get into those nice positions, we reduce our chance of injury, and we get more out of the exercises that we're doing. Okay, so I'm going to break down these two analogies for you. They essentially do the same thing, but sometimes thinking of them in a different way, one might click a little bit more than the other. Okay, so the first one that we have is called screwing our feet into the ground. So our starting position for both of these analogies is going to be the same, where we want to get in an athletic position, knees are nice and soft. This might change depending on which exercise you're doing, but for today we're going to go with the same for both. So my feet are shoulder width apart, okay, slight bend in the knees. I'm going to keep my chest up, and I want to grip the ground with my toes. Okay, so before I get started, and for me to get the most out of screwing my feet into the ground or spreading the floor, I need to also activate my feet. So here when we talk about activating the toes, we want to grip the toes to the ground. So you see here the bottoms of my toes get a little bit white because I'm actually thinking about spreading them out, putting them on the floor, and then pulling in. So now I know the muscles in my feet are activated and I'm getting. So once I've got into my nice position, when I think about screwing my feet into the ground, I want to think of my foot as the screw, and think of a screw that's almost all the way to the end of its thread. So it's already kind of tight, and we just want to get that last little bit in. And I'm going to think about my lower leg as the screwdriver, okay? So as I place my feet here, I'm going to think of slightly turning my feet out. It's a really small movement, okay? And for it to work properly, just like when you have a screwdriver and a screw, you can't let the screwdriver go all the way out. You have to keep the screwdriver in line. So I'm going to make sure my lower leg stays in line over my ankles as I turn out a little bit. Now again, I'm not trying to get a big movement here. I don't want my feet to peel off the ground or my knees to move. I want my feet to stay flat, and that's where gripping the toes into the ground helps with that. And as I turn out, instead of thinking of a movement, I want you guys to think of creating pressure. Okay? So as you twist here, you should feel some pressure build up on the outside edges of your foot. You should feel that maybe in the calf a little bit and coming out on the side of your leg. And then ultimately, as I do that, I should feel my glutes here on the side get nice and tight. Okay? So when we think about spreading the floor, we want to get the exact same feeling. We're just going to think about it a little bit differently. So my same starting position, I'm athletic, soft knees, soft bend in the knees, and I'm nice and tall through my chest. I'm going to grip the ground with my toes, get my feet activated. And now I want to think about having something really sticky on the bottom of my feet. So let's say you have honey or peanut butter or syrup. Okay, and I want to think about spreading my foot across the floor just as you would spread that butter across your toast. Okay? So here I'm trying to go for that kind of movement, but I'm not actually going to move my feet because that is so sticky under my feet. So again, I'm just trying to go for that little outwards motion, creating pressure. So again, we want to go for that pressure. And now when I do that, I'm looking to build the pressure on the outside of my feet, come through the bottom, the sides of my leg, and again, ultimately into my glute med here. So whichever one kind of clicks better for you, you could think about it that way. There are two different ways of getting the same outcome, of getting our lower kinetic chain nice and activated and helping every joint in our lower body stay stacked as we do exercises. Okay. So what we're going to do now, nice and simple, we're just going to practice different exercises using that. The first thing I want you to do is just practice getting the tension feeling in your legs. So if I get in my nice position, all we're gonna do is we're going to create that pressure and relax. And what I want you to do is to feel this muscle right on the side of your leg, and as you pull out or rotate your feet, you should feel this get a little tighter, okay? You should feel that get tight. We're just gonna tension and relax, tension and relax. And you can even put your hands here, see if you can feel your glutes get tighter. So just hold it for 2 or 3 seconds and relax. Do as many reps as you feel. You can shake your legs out and start over again, just to really start to get that feeling that we're looking for. Next up, we're gonna do our box squats again that we did the other day. And we're just going to activate our legs before we go down. And we're gonna try and keep that activation, so that feeling of screwing our feet into the ground as we come up, okay? So here, I'm going to get into my nice position. My feet are grounded, okay? I'm gonna get my hips in place, my core activated. And then I'm screwing my feet into the ground. As I go down, I'm thinking about keeping those knees out because I'm twisting my feet. And then as I come back up, I'm still keeping that tension. It's very common for people to start getting used to being really good on the way down, okay? So they get nice and tight here, and then on the way up, they just let everything relax. And we really don't want to see those knees come together. It A, means we've lost all our tension, but B, is really not good for your knee health. So we have to make sure that at all times, okay, when we screw our feet into the ground, we have those knees tracking over our toes, and then on the way up, I'm still tracking them over my toes, okay? Now this exercise, it's super commonly used for doing your squats, but really it should be used for any exercise that you do where your feet are on the ground, because it grounds us to the ground, it gets us connected to the floor, and it helps us use that force we're producing into the floor for our exercise. So what I want us to do next is to practice it doing our RDL. Okay? So our RDL that we did yesterday, or a couple days ago, we had our stick behind our, along our back, and then we pushed the hips backwards. So instead of just thinking about the hips when we do that exercise and kind of letting the lower body do whatever it wants and not be tight, we're going to think about grounding our feet. So we're screwing our feet into the ground, that little rotation outwards, and then I'm gonna push my hips back. And now as you go back, you should feel that nice tension along the side of your legs. So everything from the floor up to your core is all nice and tight, and we have the shoulders pulled back. Okay, so again, screw your feet into the ground. We're gonna activate the core, pushing the hips back, keeping those knees out. Now my feet are always flat on the ground and squeezing back. I'm never letting my big toe or my arches completely peel off of the floor. All right, and then the last guy we're gonna do is going to be a glute bridge. So you might think you can't use this exercise on a glute bridge because we're not standing, but not completely the case. So if I get on the floor here, I can't get as much of that pressure as I would like when I'm standing up, but I can still think about gripping my toes, and I can still think about slightly turning those feet outwards, so that then when I activate my core and I push up, when I get to the top, now I have that pressure on the outside of my feet, I have my knees pushed out, and I have the side of my legs here engaged at the same time, okay? So it's just another exercise you can practice, a few different movements we can use to make sure that we can really jam this concept down. Okay? So one more thing, guys, is if you guys do have bands at home, you can always use these to give yourself some extra external feedback. So if we step into it here, and any type of band will do, any type of TheraBand. Now we still want to think about all the same cues, but now we have some external pressure on the outside of the knees, and you'll be able to feel as soon as you let them come in. So if you do have some bands, they're a really good option to use when you're doing squats or when you're doing glute bridges, especially if you have a tendency to let those knees drop in. All right, so go practice that, and I will see you guys tomorrow for day 5.